Hello and welcome to today's Business Spotlight interview. I'm your host, Mackenzie Muse, and I'll be joined by Dov Bercovici, the CEO and president of the Discovery Center. Dov, would you like to start out with telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thanks, Mackenzie. Well, as the lead for the Discovery Center and Discovery Center International, I can tell you first and foremost, I have a tremendous amount of fun every day and satisfaction at the same time watching very young children build curiosity and confidence at a very young age, but also working on the spectrum of workforce development, working with older kids on the bridge of going to university and seeing their satisfaction in building new technology and innovating and really becoming leaders of the future. Science centers are all over the world, but I would say that the Discovery Center, in terms of its purpose and what it does for our community in Nova Scotia, Canada, and even now internationally, is quite unique in terms of the workforce development. There are many components to it, and we're a private not-for-profit, and we essentially offer services in the tourism market for those that come to Halifax and want to have a good time while learning science. And we use a concept called STEAM: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And the arts is not just painting and drawing. It is creative thinking and design thinking and solving problems and bringing the human factor to some of today's pervasive societal challenges. So the Discovery Center, while being a tourist destination, has also become something in a really essential part of the fabric for informal learning and education and building confidence in youth, but also citizen scientists and those that are big kids like you and I, Mackenzie.
Exactly. No, all those creative learnings are so important early on and especially in early education. Perfect. So if you were to start from square one in the business of the Discovery Center, what would you have done differently?
Well, that's a great question. It's always easier to look back and correct some of your mistakes. I think sometimes when we start, so the Discovery Center has been around for about 40 years in Nova Scotia, and it started off as a traveling science roadshow. We had a van, a couple of young scientists that went around to different communities, rural communities, a lot outside Halifax with science kits and traveling planetariums. There's a lot of great, much better technology now than they had back then, but they were able to work through it. And as we move forward into renting space downtown and so on, and I came onto the scene and initiated a capital campaign to build the center that you see behind me today, which was opened in 2017. I probably would have moved quicker and a little more aggressively. And I think when you look at entrepreneurs and so on and how they move forward on opportunities, we often say it's great to listen to a lot of people, get as much stakeholder feedback as you want. I think I had too much feedback, and I think this was the right thing to do. It should have been moved at a breakneck speed to make this happen for our province, our country, and actually now globally, we're making a big impact. So I probably would have moved a little faster because I knew what steps to take. But I was a little bit more sensitive in the beginning. I would have moved just a little further still. I'm a very open person, open to feedback. But a lot of people, when it comes to fundraising, they run for the hills. So it really fell to myself and a few other key people. And so I would have moved a lot faster early on.
That's awesome. I've known about the whole, like the Discovery Center my whole life, and I had no idea about the origins of it. That's really interesting.
It's gone through a number. It's like humans have evolved, the Discovery Center has evolved. So it started traveling and it moved to a shopping mall with 5,000 square feet. Then the former location of the G7 summit on Barrington Street. A lot of people don't know this. In 1995, the Discovery Center moved to that location. And then I started in 2007, February 2007. And at that point, I saw maybe a dozen consultants report on the the need for a new facility sitting in my closet, and a lot of great feedback again, but no action. And I think that's a very important factor here, is at a certain point, there's a trigger that you need to begin working on your vision and the dream. And great to get feedback, but too much feedback is not helpful. You have to look, and I knew exactly what point I should have moved a little faster.
Exactly. You almost have to weed through the
That would be
feedback
my
that you
only
want to.
regret. Everything else was great, just it could have moved a bit quicker.
Yes, I completely understand that. So with the growth of the Discovery Center, what would you attribute your growth in your role at the Discovery Center, along with the growth of the Discovery Center itself too?
Well, I think one of the most important things when you're starting a new major initiative, it's important when you're looking to funders. So whether those are private funders, such as donors or sponsors, corporate sponsors, or public funders, such as the three levels of government, municipal, provincial, and federal, you want to make sure that you have a very tight business case. Number one, like, how does this work? What is the social ROI for the community at large? Is this sustainable? Does it make sense? And we had a really good track record of not requiring a lot of public funding. A lot of people didn't know this, but at one point we were 7% public funding between all three levels of government towards our operations. And that was a very important story to tell. And that most of the funding did not go to the core operations to keep the lights on. It was special projects. It was working with the education department. It was working on climate science initiatives. It was working on health initiatives. So it was actually going to a purpose, not just again for core operational purposes. So that in itself was a great story. But when we worked with the leadership, Chris Huskelson and Rob Bennett at the time, we were looking for a new location. We came up with an even more compelling story. And to their credit, they have one of the largest concentrations of technical workers in Canada in terms of the folks that work for the power company. If you think about all the new technology they're involved with, and battery storage and wind power and hydro, and it's an incredible spectrum of rich scientific knowledge. And so it made sense for a Discovery Center to co-locate in their new headquarters. So when he approached them, we were able to work together to come to a really nice arrangement where they provided us 40,000 square feet at their headquarters, rent-free for 25 years, and a $1 million donation as well towards our energy gallery, which is a fun place to be. And so when you're able to approach other donors, when you have that first supporter, believer in what you're doing, and actually we called it the Believe campaign for a variety of reasons. We actually were able to go to other donors and supporters and investors and say, look, our hat is half full. We've got a building, we've got a great location. It's on the Halifax waterfront. It's a gem, the waterfront. It's the most visited destination in Atlantic Canada. We're not paying rent. So that's a big savings. And in fact, right now, our utilities and everything together is probably less than our old facility. So it puts it in context of what you can do when you find a willing and a compatible partner to work with.
Exactly.
And so it's very good to have things lined up, and also you need that major partner that believes in you, that wants to work with you out of the gate. And once you have that, then you can go approach other partners, especially the public sector. They like to see the community involved before you go to them to ask for any further support. So we did, typical, as they say, we had a public-private partnership to make this Discovery Center happen. And about 50% came from all three levels of government and 50% from the private sector. It was a very nice ratio and a great business case, and that's what made it work.
That's amazing. And when you have a good company, a good product, you find the right investors to move it forward and push it forward.
Whether you're a charitable organization like Discovery Center, or a private company, the same principles apply.
Exactly. Amazing. So what would you say the most common misconceptions about running a business is, and how do you address those?
Misconceptions about
Yeah.
running a business. I think the most important thing is we all, when we started our conversation, you asked me, what do I, is there anything I would do differently? And I said, move faster.
Hmm.
Certainly that's the case in businesses because time is a big factor when it comes to running an operation. The other point of it, we always think things are going to go faster. So the reverse side of the coin is a big misconception is we put a business plan together and we think it's going to happen right away. All entrepreneurs and all leaders in the charitable or not-for-profit sector, when they are launching new major initiatives or new programs, you have to account for slack in the time schedule. Like there has to be contingency. You need to give yourself enough runway to be able to operate the business sustainably for the long run. So you can't expect, if you're looking to raise tens of millions of dollars, you can't expect that to happen. You don't want to box yourself into a shorter time frame just because you want to move fast. So I think there's a bit of it's a balance. It requires, and that's where advice comes in with people that have been there and done that before. Is how did you move at the pace you did? So I would actually seek out advice, but then if at some point you still need to take action, but allow yourself enough runway because stuff happens, challenges emerge along the way. Whether it's from weather to political shocks to economic shocks, recessions, you do have to plan for those contingencies.
Exactly. And businesses are all just one big balancing act. Um, with that, how do you balance your work and personal life?
Well, it's very important. I think the most important thing, is if you don't have your health, uh, you don't have anything. So I think that
Exactly.
extremely important to block off time. Like you don't want to be uh, OCD and have every minute of your day allocated. But say, okay, this period of the day is time for me to go to the gym, for example. And I like combining things in one and not wasting a lot of time. So I'm a member of Orange Theory Fitness, which is a great business model, great franchise. So they combine weights, cardio, stretching, it's all in one. And you have somebody screaming at you in a nice way to motivate you to keep you going throughout the workout. For me, that's perfect. I don't have a lot of thinking to do. And so they have a lot of times during the day. So if I get busy at work, I always make sure I get every second day I get that workout in because otherwise you start to feel the stress. In terms of family, I have two grown children now, and one has graduated in health science in university. Both are St. FX graduates. One attending St. FX second year, hope soon to be a graduate.
Exactly.
They're looking great, and that's because I spent time with them. I made sure I was there for very important time. So if you're traveling a lot as part of your job, when you are home, be present. Take them to soccer games, take them to hockey games, go to the school concerts, make sure you're there for the important moments. There's nothing else more important to that because it goes by in the blink of an eye. So, balancing that time and also with your spouse, make sure you have a date night every couple of weeks, once a month, where you go to something just the two of you. So I think you're balancing that. And of course, friends, don't lose touch with your friends. I know a lot of entrepreneurs, they just put the blinders on and they're not communicating. So I think a great way to stay in touch with friends is while we look at social media as a negative, a really good thing. It can really help families and friends stay in touch. Keep in touch. What are you doing? As long as you're not on it all the time. And then, plan for some time with friends frequently. So those things, if you have those core things, everything else falls into place.
Exactly. No, I 100% agree with that. You have to make time for the people in your lives and everything that attributes to your health and everything that's important to you. But in such a big company, I'm assuming that you do a lot of the hiring. So what qualities do you look for in an employee and how would you foster a positive work environment?
Okay, so obviously that's a great question because being in a charity, and you know, that's one of the reasons why we set up Discovery Center International. Eventually, over time, that's going to generate enough revenue to support the charity even more so. So that's one of our plans. But being in a not-for-profit, you are limited in what you can provide to the employees. So you know, I've been with the center now 18 years, and I think I'm generating the same income I did in my last job, which was at a university. I'm about the same. So it gives you a sense. So, you know, I don't like to say you're not in it for the money. We know there are challenges in our economic environment now. So we have to look at, in terms of fostering the environment, is giving people the flexibility to do their jobs, a lot of flexibility. You know, given we're a public place, there's only so much flexibility you can have. You have to, you know, be at work and present, but giving people the opportunities to come up with their own content, to be creative. And I've always seen Discovery Center as a stepping stone for many young employees that are having trouble finding them. You know, the job market in certain areas is tight, so they get a couple of years, they work with us, and then they move to a teaching job or something else. So that's, you know, that's one group. In terms of the business side of the operation, we similarly, we look the satisfaction in achieving a job well done, great health package, great health plan, all of those types of things come to play. But obviously we're in a competitive market, so we're constantly looking at that. And so if someone is joining us just because of money, it's probably not going to work out. We look at people that have qualities, really, you know, obviously we work with youth, so they have to love working with youth and not be, oh, it's too noisy in the center, because there is going to be a lot of noise. So we're looking for qualities of people that are great with youth, good people skills, creative, scientific background, but not solely a scientific background, just ability to learn quickly, because we are an informal learning environment.
Exactly. So you really look for those employees with the soft skills that can be moldable
People
into
skills,
your
you know,
company.
interpersonal communication.
Exactly. All right. Well, do you have any key takeaways and advice for all of our viewers watching
I would
about
say
general
that,
business?
yeah, sure. No, I think we'll call it moving projects from the idea to the execution. The most important thing you could do is bring on a small team of advisors that have done that before, that have moved major projects. Be a good listener, listen to them early on, take notes, but also look at customizing their knowledge to your current situation. And eventually somebody has to act. And you, as the leader or the entrepreneur that operates the business, it falls to your shoulders and a small core team to move it forward. So don't take too long to execute the project. And the second step is make sure that you have a good backer up front. So someone that is giving you the runway, that believes in the concept. You know, don't start with the hat empty and start going around town. Make sure you have the hat half full with a compelling business case, but also the financial and human resources to be able to move at a good pace, at a steady pace, because things are going to happen to slow you down, but don't let them slow you down too much, because a worthwhile venture is going to happen if you push.
Exactly. That's amazing advice. Well, thank you so much, Dov, for meeting with us today. It was amazing learning about your entrepreneurial journey. To everyone watching, we look forward to seeing you in our next episode.
Thank you very much, Mackenzie. Have a great day.